Hi, hello, welcome. My name is Jesse, and I just saw Lee Cronin's The Mummy last night. The movie is, of course, written and directed by Lee Cronin. It is produced by Jason Blum and James Wan. So Lee Cronin's The Mummy is essentially three movies in one. It's sort of a mummy movie, it's sort of an Evil Dead movie, and it's sort of an Exorcist movie. In a lot of ways, this makes sense because Lee Cronin's previous movie was Evil Dead Rise. Fantastic movie. 3 years later, he's back with an original script that he wrote. It's kind of an Evil Dead movie, kind of an Exorcist movie, barely a mummy movie. So what happens in this movie? There's a cold open that establishes the mummy curse, and then we jump to the Cannon family. Charlie, played by Jack Rayner, and the mother, Larissa, played by Leia Costa, and really the only important one is Katie, played by Natalie Grace. Katie pretty quickly gets kidnapped by this woman that's been grooming her by giving her these King Tut chocolate candies. So immediately when this woman approaches her and is like, hey, I got this chocolate candy, my brain is like, okay, this is the first time they're meeting. This is the first time she's ever seen this woman. But then at the exact same time, coincidentally, the dad is in her bedroom and finds all these chocolate wrappers. And it's like, oh, this has been happening for quite some time. That was a little unclear to me. Katie gets abducted in Cairo. The dad's, fucking Tom Cruise down the streets, man. He's just hauling ass. And he's like, I'm gonna find my daughter. And then the sandstorm comes and he's like, Katie! And then, we jump 8 years into the future. They're living in New Mexico now. They got this big old house and they got a new little daughter. Her name's Maud. And the little boy's now like 17 or something. His name is Sebastian, and grandma's there too. So there's this family living here. It's been 8 years. Touchy subject still, of course. I mean, it is what it is. Then one day they get a call saying that Katie has been found, but she was in a sarcophagus. Apparently what happened was there was a plane crash that had the sarcophagus in it. Now, when they see Katie, they're not as off-put as they should be. She looks like she's been dead for 8 years. Her skin is rotted. Her hair is falling out. Her irises are like broken. Her nails, of course. Ooh, icky nails. Don't like it. That's kind of that's where they take her home. And there's this one part specifically that I will not forget is they got Katie in a wheelchair. She's mute and rotted and like. Whatever, they don't care. They're putting her in this wheelchair and they're bringing her up the stairs, right? And they're just thumping her up the stairs. And she can't talk, so she's just kind of taking it. Little demon Katie's been put through the ringer too. We got to think about her in this movie. Getting into spoilers here, right? Let's jump into the things that I liked. The cinematography. Loved it. The cinematographer's name is David Garbett. Fantastic job. There's going to be some people that don't really like the style of what's going on here. I really enjoyed some of the split diopter and extreme close-ups. I thought those two really meshed well. Another thing that I loved was the editing. I thought this had pretty immaculate editing in some of the sequences. The editor of this movie is Brian Shaw. Good job, Brian Shaw. Thank you. There's some of these scenes where we're bouncing back and forth. Flashes, single shot, almost subliminal, straight to my eyeballs and into my brain. So some of the things that I didn't quite like about this movie is really the writing. For one thing, the pacing was kind of off for me, where Lee Cronin really likes this snappy, really efficient directing style. But then when it comes time to sort of unravel this mystery, no pun intended, he kind of slows down. Kind of checks out. Seems like he's just kind of coasting. He's like, I didn't really want to direct this scene. I'm thinking of one in particular. I'm going to get into spoilers now. Charlie realizes that his daughter has like scripture on her, and he takes it to this professor, and the professor is like, you need to listen to this tape. And they're sitting in this room, right? And they're just listening. It's like a lore dump. So you could close your eyes for that scene. The whole scene is optional. There's another optional side quest in this movie. There's this female detective that really doesn't need to be in the movie at all. There's this seed planted at the beginning of the movie where Katie is going to be a Girl Scout, right? And she's got this test coming up, so she's learning Morse code, and her dad is like helping her. And then later on that comes back when Katie's found and she's mummified and she's laying in her bed and she's chattering her teeth. Charlie realizes, oh, this is Morse code. She knows Morse code. I know Morse code. And so he writes it out. It's a woman's name that she's saying, Layla. Charlie, asks the detective, please look into the name Layla. And she's like, wait. Better thought. Do you have any mail or anyone that reached out to you by the name of Layla? Sure enough, someone named Layla, gave him a card, presumably years ago, that had the King Tut chocolate colored in on it with crayon and was like, so sorry that I did this to Katie. What the hell? You've had this locked away in a chest in your basement for how long? Whatever. This takes the detective on a optional side quest around Egypt, becomes an action movie for a second. She's got her gun out. She's sneaking around this house. Layla runs at her and, got a knife. A very slashy running at her through these beads. The detective's like, hold, and shoots her. And then the detective meets this other girl that has her tongue cut out, but she gives her a videotape that says Katie written on it and it's going to explain what happened. We don't get to see what happened on that videotape till later when she flies from Egypt to New Mexico and is like, hey, watch this videotape. It's awful. The parents are like, yeah, that's really awful because it explains what happens to Katie. It doesn't much help with anything. And it feels like this movie at times is just like, I need a central mystery for some of these viewers to cling on to. There's going to be people that are in this for the plot, and there's going to be people that are in this for the gore and the scares, and I want to meet somewhere in the middle. The Exorcist does this quite effectively. This movie does not. Because again, like I said, Lee Cronin, he's chilling, big chilling through these scenes of exposition and lore. You feel that. You really feel it drag. Anyways, back at home, Katie is learning to speak. She basically possesses her little sister and her older brother to make them do cliche horror things like bang their head on the wall. The movie's not very scary, I must say. It's gross. It's a gross movie. It's not scary. I thought the gore was pretty solid. Like I said, toenail scene. If you haven't seen the movie and you want to know, there's a scene, the mother's clipping the little toenails, her little dogs, and she's trying real hard on the thumbnail. Pulls back, and you think the whole toenail's just gonna come off. Nope, it's all the way up the leg to the knee. This pisses Katie off. It would piss me off too. She's got like the prodder for the fucking fireplace, and she's just in the wound, trying to itch it or something. Like a dog when a dog's like trying to bite their leg or whatever. That's gonna be the one scene where everyone is like walking back to the car out of the movie theater and being like, "Oh, that was gross." There's not much more to cling on to as far as the scares and the gore. Also, let's talk about the house for a second. Their New Mexico house, the geography is a little off-putting. Most of the movie takes place in this house, which is fine. Totally fine. Evil Dead Rise took place in an apartment complex, and it worked really well. Very effective. Here, the geography fell off. We got some establishing shots, but I was failing to see, there was no neighbors nearby. We never got to see the camera move away to know what's around this house. Maybe that's part of the isolation. Cronin, if that's what you were going for, congratulations. I was disoriented. I felt like a lot of this movie just needed another pass as far as the writing. I liked the dad, Charlie, as a protagonist. The only thing is he spent a lot of the time trying to figure out what happened to his daughter rather than trying to figure out how to make his daughter better. I don't think those two goals coincided very well. It didn't seem like he was like, oh, I'm trying to figure out what happened to Katie so I can make her better. It was just like, oh, I can't live with not knowing what happened to her. I could. I just want her to be better. You know what I mean? And, I believe that Charlie, he could have been, researching this Layla lady and going and finding her himself. Maybe he flies back to Egypt and has his own Indiana Jones moment while the mom is trying to juggle these three possessed kids and maybe the possessed grandma, all of these things happening. I think that would have been a somewhat more effective, maybe even a little bit more higher stakes scenario. I don't think that Charlie needed to become the mummy at the end. I thought that was pretty bad. We should have just left it with Katie getting better. It felt tacky. And you know what? I'm just going to say it. Maybe the mom should have been the one that became the mummy, right? The mummy. Just a thought. So I'm going to give this movie 6 out of 10. Reduce the fraction, 3 out of 5 stars. For all you letterboxers out there. So I was fully on board with this movie all the way through. I thought it was a wonderful first hour. And then it started to get a little dicey with the story. Kind of a bumpy ending. Again, a lot of wonderful imagery going on here. And a lot of fantastic editing in some of these intense sequences. But the story felt kind of checked out as far as, character decisions. Was not very realistic. And that can take you out of it a little bit. But yeah, thank you for watching my first ever movie review. Please go see Lee Cronin's The Mummy and make a decision for yourself. I'm going to try and keep doing these because I like movies. So yeah, thank you for watching and see you soon. Thank you. Bye.